Have you ever been in a conversation where everything feels normal until suddenly it doesn't? You say something completely reasonable, yet the person in front of you looks at you with confusion, annoyance, or even disappointment. And just like that, you're the one second-guessing yourself. You start thinking, did I misremember? Am I overreacting? Am I the problem here? Maybe they tell you that you're too sensitive or that you always imagine things. And even though a small voice inside you whispers that your feelings are valid, a much louder voice, one shaped by doubt, starts questioning your own reality. This internal battle becomes exhausting, slowly chipping away at your confidence without you even noticing. Moments like these don't seem dangerous at first, but when they happen over and over, they create a fog of confusion that follows you everywhere. And that is the real danger. When you start doubting your own perceptions so often that someone else's version of events feels more believable than your own. This video is going to dive into exactly why that happens. By understanding what gaslighting is and how it works, you'll start seeing these confusing moments for what they truly are. Not signs that you are losing control, but signs that someone else might be trying to manipulate your sense of reality. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of emotional manipulation because it operates so quietly, slowly, and often invisibly. At its core, gaslighting is when someone intentionally makes you question your memories, your feelings, and even your sanity. It doesn't usually start with big accusations or dramatic confrontations. Instead, it begins with small, subtle comments that seem almost harmless on the surface. You express a feeling, and they dismiss it. You recall an event, and they deny it ever happened. You show that you're hurt, and they tell you you're overreacting. Bit by bit, your trust in yourself begins to fracture. The term gaslighting actually comes from the 1944 film Gaslight*, where a husband manipulates his wife into thinking she's imagining things. Also, he can gain control over her. In real life, gaslighting isn't always a deliberate or malicious plot, but its effects are just as damaging. It can happen in romantic relationships, families, friendships, workplaces, pretty much anywhere someone tries to control the narrative at the expense of your mental well-being. By understanding how gaslighting unfolds, you reclaim the power to see the manipulation clearly, instead of just blaming yourself. That clarity is the first step toward rebuilding your inner voice and recognizing that your thoughts and emotions are, and always have been, valid. Gaslighting doesn't always look like a dramatic fight. It often appears in everyday interactions that seem normal at first glance. It can be as subtle as someone rolling their eyes when you express a concern, or as direct as them claiming that a conversation or event never happened, even though you remember it vividly. Some of the most common gaslighting phrases include things like, "You just imagining things," "You're being way too emotional," "Stop being so paranoid," or the classic, "That's not what I said." Over time, these small denials build up, creating a pattern that chips away at your sense of certainty. This can happen in any kind of relationship. A partner might use it to avoid accountability for something they did. A parent might use it to maintain authority and control. A friend might use it to deflect blame onto you. Even a boss might use it to hide their own mistakes. The tricky part is that gaslighters often present themselves as very logical or calm, which makes you feel like you're the unreasonable one for reacting emotionally. They might mix a little bit of truth with lies, or shift the blame so subtly that the confusion becomes internalized. Before you know it, you start questioning your memory, your gut instincts, and even your own emotional responses. Recognizing these behaviors is so important, because only by identifying them can you begin to protect your sense of reality. To really get a handle on gaslighting, it's important to understand what drives it. People who gaslight often do it because they crave control, they fear being held accountable, or they want to shape a narrative that benefits them. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they twist reality so that you end up feeling guilty or confused. Psychologically, gaslighting creates what's known as the fog effect, that stands for fear, obligation, and guilt. Fear keeps you from speaking up. Obligation makes you feel like you owe the gaslighter your patience or understanding. And guilt convinces you that your reactions are the real problem. Together, these emotions can create a kind of mental paralysis, making it harder and harder to trust your own perception. Over time, a gaslighter may also try to foster dependency. Because they're constantly challenging your sense of reality. You might start looking to them for reassurance or clarity. This is how the power dynamic shifts. The more you doubt yourself, the more control they gain. In some relationships, this can lead to what's called trauma bonding, where moments of manipulation are mixed with moments of affection, creating a powerful emotional confusion. Understanding this psychology helps you realize that the issue isn't your weakness, it's the manipulative tactics being used against you. Self-doubt doesn't just appear overnight. It grows slowly, as repeated gaslighting reshapes the way you think about yourself. When someone constantly tells you that your feelings are wrong or that your memory can be trusted, your mind eventually starts to believe them. This is because the human brain tends to prioritize repeated messages, even when those messages are harmful. After enough exposure, the gaslighter's voice becomes louder than your own intuition. You stop trusting your emotional reactions because you've been conditioned to believe they are too much or just inaccurate. You hesitate before making decisions because you're afraid of being wrong. You find yourself apologizing constantly because you automatically assume you're the one causing the conflict. This internalized doubt can lead to chronic anxiety, low self-esteem, and even emotional numbness. You might find it difficult to distinguish between genuine concerns and things you've just imagined, because the gaslighter has completely blurred the line between truth and manipulation. This is what makes gaslighting so powerful. It doesn't just distort isolated moments. It can influence your entire identity. Recognizing that this self-doubt is something that was learned, not something that's natural to you, is a crucial turning point. Once you understand that this insecurity was created through manipulation, you can begin the process of unlearning it and rebuilding trust in your own inner voice. Recovering from gaslighting requires patience, support, and a very deliberate effort to reconnect with your own thoughts and emotions. The very first step is to acknowledge that your experiences and feelings are valid. You can start by documenting events, whether you write them down in a journal, record voice notes, or save messages so you have concrete reminders of what actually happened. This helps counteract the confusion that gaslighting creates. Talking to someone you trust is another incredibly powerful tool. Sharing your experiences with a friend, a counselor, or a support group helps break the feeling of isolation and gives you an objective perspective from outside the situation. Next, practice setting boundaries. Calmly express what kind of behavior you won't accept, like someone dismissing you or denying your feelings. It might feel really uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been conditioned to avoid conflict. But every boundary you set strengthens your sense of self. Professional support from a therapist can also be transformative. They can help you rebuild your confidence and reestablish healthy emotional frameworks. Most importantly, focus on reconnecting with your inner voice. Practice grounding techniques. Start trusting your gut instincts again, and allow yourself to feel your emotions without judging them. Healing from gaslighting isn't about proving the gaslighter wrong, it's about reclaiming your power, your clarity, and your identity. As we reach the end of this video, please remember this. Doubting yourself doesn't mean you're weak, broken, or overly emotional. It often means that someone has slowly trained you to silence your own voice. Gaslighting is powerful not because it changes reality, but because it convinces you to question your own. The fact that you're here, learning about it, shows incredible strength, not insecurity. Awareness is the first and most important step toward reclaiming your confidence. Once you understand the patterns, they lose so much of their power over you. You deserve relationships, conversations, and environments where your feelings are respected and your experiences are acknowledged. Healing won't happen overnight, but every moment of clarity is a step back toward trusting yourself again. Give yourself permission to believe your own story. Give yourself the space to honor your emotions. And most importantly, give yourself credit for surviving something that was designed to make you doubt your own mind. If this video brought you any clarity, please share it with someone who might need to hear these words today. And if you found value here, consider subscribing for more insights on self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and personal healing. You're not alone, and you're not imagining things. Your reality matters, and you are allowed to own it.